Okay, good afternoon. Let me start the class. Uh, I had originally intended to take this class at 11 a.m. as you know, but unfortunately I had some network issues, so I could not take the class at that time. Now let me share the screen with you so that you will be able to look at the poem. Though I have shared the poem in the group also, but you can see it here also. So here is our poem, Paradise Lost, Book 1. And as you can see here, in my last class, I was discussing this epic simile where the poet was describing, or he was comparing, the huge bulk of Satan with the Leviathan, or this sea beast. So he was describing this, the pilot of some small night foundered skiff. So the sailor who was sailing by night, and he had mistakenly anchored by the side of this huge sea beast, mistaking it for an island. So with fixed anchor in his scaly rind, moors by his side under the lee, while night invests the sea and wished morn delays. So we had uh, seen how the sailor was waiting for dawn or morning, and how he thought that he had anchored his boat. Uh, Night foundered skiff. Skiff means a small boat, but he had uh, anchored his boat by the side of an island. But that was really the Leviathan. And the Leviathan is described, as you know, in various ways as a whale or a crocodile or a monster, sea monster. But since Milton describes it as having scaly scales, so he might be thinking of this crocodile which has scales. Now comes the comparison. So stretched out, huge in length, the archfiend lay, chained on the burning lake. So here, from you can see the familiar description, Milton moves to the unfamiliar. And as you know, I had told you in one of the classes that this epic simile is also called the Homeric simile or the long-tailed simile, because it has a very, elaborate kind of a structure. So now, as you can see, Milton moves from the enormous and the strange to the familiar, uh, uh, you know, things. So the pilot, meaning the sailor, is a familiar figure. From there, he moves on to the sea beast Leviathan, which is, of course, not at all uh, a familiar figure, but again, we can see the impression of a nocturnal seascape kind of it rises from this description. So at the end of this epic simile, we can observe the sudden and deliberate change in tone. So stretched out, huge in length, the archfiend lay, chained on the burning lake. So now, chained on the burning lake, chained, it should not be taken literally, that actually Satan or the other fallen angels were chained. It has to be taken uh, kind of as the fact that they were thrown into hell, and it is a kind of a metaphorical chain. So in the sense that they were confined to hell. However, Satan would be allowed by God to go out of hell, as we will see later in the other books of Paradise Lost. Now here Milton is saying, nor ever thence had risen or heaved his head, but that the will and high permission of all ruling heaven left him at large to his own dark designs. So, as you can see, uh, Milton is saying that Satan would not have been able to raise himself. And this particular word, as you can see, heaved means raised. He could not have uh, risen, or he could not have raised his head, but that the will and high permission of all ruling heaven. So, uh, as we can see, the permission of God, God has given him the permission to raise his head, and that is why he was able to do so. So, obviously, all ruling heaven here means God left him at large to his own dark designs. So, God allowed him to formulate his dark and evil designs, that with reiterated crimes he might heap on himself damnation. So, why did God allow him to, plot evil? So that with reiterated crimes, that is, with uh, repeated crimes, he would heap on himself damnation. So he would be damned forever. And that in that way, his chances of getting redemption through the sacrifice of Jesus Christ would be uh, obliterated, while he sought evil to others. So Satan, as we had seen in the previous lines of this book, he was always going to plot evil, and he was going to, pervert the good uh, wishes or good actions of God, and enraged might see how all his malice served but to bring forth infinite goodness, grace, and mercy. So he would be really frustrated. And as we can see here, that would be trying his best. He would be trying his best to, you know, uh, to bring about evil, but he would not succeed. So he would try to do evil to others, that is, evil to mankind, to the angels and God Himself, and he would become evil incarnate and enraged, but he would be enraged. That is, he would be made angry or become furious to see how his malice, so his evil intentions, would bring forth infinite goodness, grace, and mercy in God, shown on man by him seduced, but on himself trouble, confusion, wrath, and vengeance poured. So he would be trying to harm Adam and Eve. So the first man and the first woman created by God, and he would perpetrate, or he would, you know, show his anger, shower his anger on these two human beings. He would seduce Eve, and that would lead to the fall of man. But in doing so, he would bring upon himself treble confusion. So, wrath and vengeance poured. So, obviously, God would become uh, threefold. His anger would increase threefold towards Satan. Forthwith upright he rears from off the pool, his mighty stature. So now he tries to stand upright, and from the burning lake he gets up. He stands on his feet, his mighty stature. So as we can see, he stands erect. On each hand, the flames, driven backward, slope their pointing spires, and rolled in billows, leave in the midst a horrid veil. So here we can see or visualize the description. On each hand, meaning on both sides of Satan, there were the flames of hell burning. They were driven backwards, sloped their pointing spires. So the horrid flames of hell were burning and rolling in billows. Billows means waves. So it was, as you know, they were in the standing in the burning lake, and because of that, the waves of the burning lake were rolling, and they moved backward and on both sides, and left in the middle part a horrid valley, or a kind of a space. So Satan stood up, and then with expanded wings he steers his flight aloft, incumbent on the dusky air. So then he uh, starts to fly, because as you know, angels have wings, and Satan now takes flight, and he flies with expanded wings. He steers his flight, meaning he is moving towards the plain land. He is moving from the burning lake to the plain. Aloft means high, incumbent on the dusky air. So incumbent here means he is lying on or pressing with his weight. And here in the dusky means the obviously the whole place is full of uh, darkness that felt unusual weight. So the dusky air felt the unusual weight of Satan. So heavy he was, till on dry land he lights. So he flew from the burning lake to the dry land. If it were land that ever burned with solid, as the lake with liquid fire. So here Milton is describing the land, the plain land. He had described the burning lake of hell, and now that Satan has moved from the burning lake to the plain land, which was also burning with solid fire, and such appeared in hue as when the force of subterranean wind transports a hill. So Milton is here trying to describe to his readers the nature or the color. Hue here means, obviously it's a kind of a description of the appearance or the texture of this place. And the soil of hell, it resembles a smoking, scorched floor of a volcano after eruption. So, and as you can see, Milton is going to describe this solid ground of hell, uh, the force of subterranean wind. The force of subterranean wind here means Milton actually regarded earthquakes and volcanic eruptions as the effect of underground winds which flowed underground and which forced their way upwards, setting the combustible rocks on fire. So the undercurrent, that was the current, that was the wind that was blowing under the earth, that came up with a great force because of the volcanic eruptions or the earthquakes. And as a result, what happened, the rocks which were highly inflammable, they caught fire. So it was burning with solid fire. Transports a hill of subterranean wind, transports a hill torn from Pelorus, or the shattered side of thundering Etna. So here you will find the references to Pelorus, which means which is a reference to Cape Faro, Faro, which is the cape at the northeast corner of Sicily, opposite to Italy. And Mount Etna is, of course, it is a volcano. So here Milton is describing this. Uh, Pelorus is the northeast corner of Sicily, opposite to Italy, and it is not far from Etna, which is a volcano. So of thundering Etna. Why thundering? Because it was a volcano and there were volcanic eruptions from its bowels, whose combustible and fueled entrails. So he describes it thus: combustible and fueled entrails. So the lava that was there inside this volcano Etna, the inflammable materials inside the volcano are kindled by the winds which caused the earthquake, and they caught fire and the explosion occurred. So obviously the soil of hell, it is like a scorched and smoking floor of a volcano after eruption. So that is what Milton is trying to describe in this way. He's trying to describe the burning plain where Satan had alighted. So you can understand the description. And fueled entrails means the combustible materials, the lava, thence conceiving fire. So they caught fire, sublimed with mineral fury, aid the winds, and leave a singed bottom, all involved with stench and smoke. So what I was trying to describe to you, obviously here sublime means sublimated. They're converted into vapor or smoke, which settled as a fine powder. Hence, they were turned into a volcanic dust and smoke. Stench means foul odor, foul smell. So, here is the description of how the burning plain looked and how it appeared. So singed means that was scorched. Such resting found the soul of unblessed feet. So this was the place where Satan alighted. Unblessed feet. So his feet were unblessed by God. Him followed his next mate, that is Beelzebub, both glorying to have escaped the Stygian flood. So they were now not on the burning lake. So they were feeling happy and glad that they had escaped the fire of the burning lake. So now they were on the not on the burning lake, but on the the burning plain which burned with a solid fire. The Stygian, this particular word is derived from the river Styx, Styx. It is one of the 5 rivers of hell. So Styx is one of the 5 rivers of hell, and now some of the critics, they have said that it does not mean Styx, but mainly infernal. It is a kind of an infernal river like that. But Stygian, it should mean the river. Stygian flood means the waters of Styx, both glorying to have escaped the Stygian flood. And here, obviously, uh, it is a reference to the burning lake, uh, or it might mean the infernal lake, as gods, and by their own recovered strength, not by the sufferance of supernal power. So they felt that they had been able to uh, go away or escape the fires of the burning lake by dint of their own powers as gods, meaning heavenly angels, though they were banished from heaven. So they thought, both Satan and Beelzebub, that they had regained their strength, and therefore not by the sufferance of supernal power. Sufferance means allowance. So it was not through the allowance of God, that God had given them permission to go from the burning lake to this solid plane of solid fire. So they were extremely proud of their abilities, and therefore, obviously, they were under an illusion. Supernal power obviously means the almighty and heavenly power of God. So here uh, ends this description how Satan and Beelzebub, they fly away from this burning lake to the solid uh, plane, solid fire of the plane of hell. And we will now look at the next speech of Satan. And Satan, now what he does, he looks around him and then he begins his speech. Is this the region, this the soil, the clime? Said then the lost archangel. This the seat that we must change for heaven. So now he is looking around him, and he is obviously very much disappointed. And he sees the change that has come upon this place from heaven. So, is this the region, this the soil, the clime? So, obviously, he is referring to the region, the soil, and the climate. This the seat, meaning the place where they would have to reside, that we must change for heaven, that we must exchange for heaven. This mournful gloom for that celestial light. So this mournful gloom, meaning the fire that was burning, ever burning in hell. So that was obviously, as Milton had said, gave very little light or no light, but only it served to intensify the darkness of hell. So seat here means residence or home. So uh, the speech is very emphatic on the part of Satan. So kind of a, you can see the repetition of this word, this the soil, this the region, this the soil, the clime. So this the seat. So he is emphasizing on this word this, and it sort of emphasizes the decline in state, that of Satan and the other fallen angels. So now he says, Be it so, since he who now is sovereign can dispose and bid what shall be right. So he is accepting. He is accepting. Well, he looks around him. He questions, puts a rhetorical question, which has its own answer, and he says, "Well, if we must, we must accept this place, this changed situation, because who now is sovereign? So God is now sovereign. He can dispose and bid. So it is according to His will that we are suffering. We are going to suffer here. What shall be right? So He is deciding what shall be right. Farthest from Him is best, whom reason hath equalled, force hath made supreme, above his equals." So here you can see Satan's pride. He is saying that uh, we have to change heaven for this dismal place, but it is good that we are at a farthest distance from God, because he wants to be far removed from God. And he says, "Farthest from him is best, whom reason hath equalled." So reason hath equalled in the sense that in terms of reason or intellectual ability, he considers himself to be at par with God. So that, of course, shows his pride. And what separated them, what made the difference? That was force hath made supreme. So the thunderbolt that God had hurled at them. So that was the deciding factor. Above his equals, hath made supreme above his equals. So they were equal in strength, in intellectual power, in reasoning ability, everything with God. But only because God had hurled this, thunderbolt, this power that he had, this special power, that made the difference. Farewell, happy fields, where joy forever dwells. Hail, horrors, hail, infernal world, and thou profoundest hell, receive thy new possessor. So now he is addressing hell. He's saying, he bids farewell to the happy fields of heaven, to the divine fields of heaven, where he had been a former resident, where joy forever dwells. So he understands that joy will never come to his life. That is over. But hail, so welcome. Hail means welcome. He is welcoming the horrors of hell. Hail, infernal world. So I welcome you eagerly. And thou, profoundest hell, receive thy new possessor. So I am the new king. I am the new incumbent of hell. So he is asking upon hell to receive him as the new possessor. One who brings a mind not to be changed by place or time. So here, this is important. As you can see, Satan is saying that though his position, his place of residence has changed, his mind has not changed. It is going to be forever full of hatred and guile against God, plotting against God. So the mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven. These are very famous lines in book 1 of Paradise Lost. So the mind will not change. His mind is the same. The mind is its own place. So it is something that is not going to change. And he is saying that obviously I am the new incumbent of hell, and I obviously would uh, like to possess hell as my special place. And therefore, as you can see, that the uh, feeling of Satan here, he is saying that it is up to the mind of a particular individual to make the best of his situation. So, if Satan wishes, he can look upon this place, which is hell, to be his heaven, can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven. And someone who is residing in heaven can still feel very much uncomfortable or dissatisfied. So that would be like hell to him. So the mind is everything. The way you look at things, your perspective changes everything. So that is the meaning of these lines. And as you can see, uh, Satan is trying to console himself and Beelzebub by saying all these things. The fact that their deterioration or their sort of uh, the loss of their heavenly stature, it does not mean anything to him. So he is not at all going to miss heaven. So he's trying to console both himself and Beelzebub. What matter where, if I be still the same, and what I should be, all but less than he, whom thunder hath made greater. So all the time he is emphasizing, as you can see, on this thunder, the because he is convinced that only the use of thunder had enabled God to triumph over them. So obviously, uh, he thinks of hell as a miserable state of mind. It is not a place. So heaven is also a locality, not a locality, but a happy state of mind. So the strong-willed people or individuals, they, for them, physical surroundings have no importance. So by the force of one's mind, one may think himself to be in heaven. So one has to be the force of will. And he's saying that uh, what matter where, if I be still the same, if I do not change, if my mind remains the same, and what I should be, all but less than he. So he is equal in stature to God, as he feels, whom thunder hath made, whom thunder hath made greater. So he's saying that he was almost equal in stature to God, but only it was the use of thunder which had enabled God to triumph over him. Here at least we shall be free. The Almighty hath not built here for his envy, will not drive us hence. So Satan is here saying that we will be free here. We will be free to do whatever we like in hell. So the Almighty God, he has not built this place for his envy, meaning he would not be jealous of what we will be doing here. So we'll be left in peace. Will not drive us hence. So he is not going to drive us away from this place. He has driven us away from heaven, but not from hell. Here we may reign secure, and in my choice, to reign is worth ambition, though in hell. Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven. So this is another very important lines, some of the important feelings that Satan sort of voices forth. So he's saying that we may reign securely here, and to his mind, he feels that reigning is the all important thing. To rule, to reign as a king, is worth ambition. So that is his ambition, to become the king, the leader of the fallen angels. Though in hell, it might be in hell, but still it is something that he has achieved. Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven. So he is not prepared to serve God as a servant in heaven. So if he had remained in heaven, he would be serving God like a servant, a lowly servant. But his pride, his uh, inordinate, uh, feeling of self-worth does not allow him to sort of think like that. He feels that he is equal to God. So obviously he wants to reign like God, though in hell. But wherefore let we then, our faithful friends, the associates and co-partners of our loss, lie thus astonished, on the oblivious pool. So now now that he has decided his course of action, he is looking in front of him, and he sees the numerous fallen angels, you know, who were uh, who had been fighting for him. So he addresses them as faithful friends. So they are his associates and co-partners of our loss. So they are lying astonished. Astonished meaning unconscious. They are still unconscious. And therefore, he is saying that on the oblivious pool, that is, they are lying oblivious pool. So a pool which causes forgetfulness. So the lake of forgetfulness. But uh, as you know, perhaps that Lethe, Lethe, is the uh, river of the underworld. Uh, Anyone who crosses that river forgets everything. Now, the classical river of the underworld is Lethe, but this lake lacks the power to wash out memory and pain. So, uh, as we can see that the fallen angels had been lying there for 9 days, confounded and entranced on the burning lake. And so, perhaps this is the reason why the poet uses the word oblivious pool, and call them not to share with us their part in this unhappy mansion, or once more with rallied arms to try what may be yet regained in heaven, or what more lost in hell. So here Satan has decided to wake up, to wake them up, the fallen angels who were lying oblivious on the burning lake, to call them to share with them this unhappy place, and to rally arms, meaning to assemble their forces, and what may be yet regained in heaven. So whether it would be possible to regain heaven, or what more lost in hell, what can we lose more in hell. So let us wake them up. So Satan spake, and him Beelzebub thus answered. So here the speech of Satan comes to an end. And as we can see here, Satan is obviously talking about his unchanging mind. The fact that he's not going to change with the change of place. So he is determined to make the most out of this hell and reign there supreme. And him Beelzebub thus answered, leader of those armies bright, which but the omnipotent none could have foiled. So he is addressing Satan as leader of those armies bright. Only the omnipotent, the all-powerful God could have foiled or overcome your power. If once they hear that voice, their liveliest pledge of hope in fears and dangers. So he is saying that if they hear your voice, now the uh, fallen angels, they are lying on the burning lake, but if you address them in a loud voice, and if they hear your voice, which is their liveliest pledge, so it is a kind of a inspiration for them of hope in fears and dangers. So obviously, of the dangers that are there, when they felt dangers and fear, your voice served to give them hope and courage, heard so oft in worst extremes, and on the perilous edge of battle. So obviously, when the battle was raging against God and his angels, Satan was commanding his army, and he was calling out to them to fight uh, against God. So obviously, Beelzebub is referring to those times, of that time. So in worst extremes and on the perilous age of battle. So the perilous age of battle, obviously, it refers to the when uh, they were almost routed by God. When it raged in all assaults, their surest signal, they will soon resume new courage and revive. Though now they lie, groveling and prostrate on yon lake of fire. So he's saying that if they hear your voice once, now that they're lying there, groveling, so they are lying prostrate on the burning lake. Groveling means in a very subordinate or kind of a crawling position. So lying on the ground facing downward. Prostrate means like that on this lake of fire. So obviously, when the battle was raging between God and his angels and Satan and his comrades, in the assaults, in all the attacks, assaults here means the attacks that were uh, sort of lodged, the signal that they received was your voice. So they will resume their new courage, they will revive if they hear your voice. As we erewhile, astounded and amazed, no wonder fallen such a pernicious height. So he's saying that we were stunned. Astounded means stunned. Amazed means confounded. We had fallen from a great height. So as you had seen how Satan and the routed angels had fallen for 9 days, and that was from heaven to hell. So obviously we had lost our consciousness and we were lying unconscious on the burning lake. So obviously it's the same situation for them. So here Beelzebub asks Satan to call out to the fallen angels. And now what happens? Satan, uh, when Beelzebub had scarcely ceased to uh, talk, his scarce had ceased when the superior fiend was moving toward the shore. His ponderous shield. Now he will get another epic simile. So I will describe this epic simile or discuss in the next class, but you can get the idea of Satan's huge bulk and appropriately the shield that he is carrying, it is also of a huge size, and Milton will describe his shield accordingly, just as he had compared his stature with the Leviathan. So let us stop here today.